You ever feel like the world's playing a sick joke and you're the punchline? Yeah, that's life. It strips you down, leaves you exposed, standing in the cold, watching your body shake. But listen, no one's coming. No one's going to wrap you in their arms and tell you it'll be okay. You have to be your own damn fire. People, they're just passing storms. One minute they're here, pretending they care, whispering lies about sticking around, and the next, gone, just like smoke in the wind. And you're left, all that's left of them are their footprints, reminders of what once was, echoes of promises that turned to dust. But here's the thing, it's okay to be alone. They told you that you need them, that loneliness is a disease, that silence is something to fear. Nah, they're wrong. They don't understand strength. They don't know the power of a man who walks his path alone, unchained, unstoppable. You want the truth? The strongest don't need a crowd. They don't need anyone to define them. They forge their way in silence. Crowds are distractions. They drain your soul. They feed off your energy and leave you empty. But when you stand alone, that's when you find yourself. That's when you hear the only voice that matters, your own. People talk about loyalty, but where were they when you needed them? When your world was burning, who stayed? No one. Loyalty's a lie when it's not yours, so don't depend on it. Don't wait for someone to save you. You are your own salvation. It hurts to realize it, doesn't it? That bitter truth. But pain is a gift. It wakes you up. Every scar on your soul is a lesson written in blood. The ones who can endure it, they become untouchable. You ever see a real warrior beg for company? Number. They walk alone. They walk with pride because they know attachments are chains. They slow you down, make you weak. The world doesn't care about weakness. It only respects strength. Look in the mirror. See the battle scars, the tired eyes, the weight on your shoulders. You've carried hell inside you. And yet, you're still standing. That means something. You're still in the fight. So stop wasting time on who left. Stop crying over who betrayed you. They did what people do. They came, they used, and then they left. Now, it's your turn to rise. You don't need them. You never did. You are the storm, the fire, the war. From now on, you walk alone. Not because you have to, but because you choose to. And when they see you again, when they realize what they lost, let them choke on the regret. Let them drown in the silence you leave behind. Because a man who walks alone doesn't need to be understood. He only needs to be feared. You ever notice how the world never stops for anyone? People walk past pain like it's just another streetlight flickering in the dark. That's because they don't care. They never did. They only care when it's convenient, when it makes them look good. They feed off your suffering like parasites. That's the first thing you need to understand. You were never meant to be saved. No hero's coming. No one is watching your struggle, waiting for the perfect moment to reach out and lift you up. This world lets you drown, and when you stop thrashing, it acts like you were never there. That's why the strongest don't wait. They don't beg. They don't waste their breath calling for help that'll never come. They become their own saviors. Loneliness? It's not a curse. It's a forge. It burns you, melts you down, strips you to the core, then reshapes you into something unbreakable. Think the greats, the legends, the ones who leave their mark, were surrounded by love and warmth. Nah, they were alone. They walked through fire by themselves, endured every betrayal, every wound, every night that felt endless, and when the sun rose, they stood, scarred but unshaken. The weak ones who once stood with them, they faded into nothing. That's your destiny, if you're willing to embrace it. Weakness dies in solitude, when no one's there to lean on, no one to pick up the pieces, no one to whisper comforting lies. You're forced to grow, forced to harden. And in that process, you realize the people were the distraction all along. They made you doubt yourself, made you hesitate, fed you dreams that were never yours. Now you see the truth. They were noise. And now, in this silence, in this cold, in this emptiness, this is where you find your real power. People love to claim they'll never leave, that they'll always have your back. Funny, right? Because when the fire starts, when darkness creeps in, when the weight of the world lands on your shoulders, they vanish, one by one, like ashes in the wind. You're left standing in the ruins, choking on the smoke of all the promises that burned away. But that's good. That's necessary. It teaches you the most brutal, liberating truth. You don't need them. Love, friendship, loyalty, they're fairy tales for the weak. Chains disguised as comfort. The moment you believe in them, you give people power over you. And people? They're selfish. They'll take until you've got nothing left. The second you become inconvenient, you're forgotten. That's why you walk alone. Not because you're broken or unlovable, but because you refuse to be owned. Strength isn't about lifting weights, roaring loud, or fighting battles. True strength, it's standing alone and not flinching. It's facing the abyss without begging for help. It's knowing you could ask for help, but choosing not to, because you understand what they don't. You were never meant to belong to anyone. You were meant to be untouchable. The world will tell you that being alone is a flaw, that isolation is something to fear. Why do they push that so hard? Because they're scared. Scared of the ones who don't need the herd, who operate in silence, who don't seek validation. Those are the ones who can't be controlled, the ones who don't need permission to exist. You've been through hell, haven't you? You've seen people turn their backs on you. You've felt the sting of words meant to tear you down. You've been left alone in the dark, screaming at a world that never cared to listen. But you survived. And that's proof. Proof that you don't need them. Proof that you never did. So, what now? Do you keep waiting, hoping someone will understand? Number. That ends today. From this moment on, you walk forward, unapologetic, unchained. You speak less. You observe more. Let them wonder where you went. Let them whisper about what happened to you. But you don't look back. You don't explain. You let them choke on the silence you leave behind. Because a warrior doesn't need an audience. A storm doesn't need permission to destroy. And you were never meant to be tamed. So embrace it. Own it. Be the man who stands alone and doesn't break. Because when the dust settles, when the weak ones fall, when the noise dies down, only the strongest will remain. And you always were meant to be one of them.